McGlynn is in. I repeat, McGlynn is in. Let the fun begin. This is the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast with your host, John McGlynn.
Is that Herms?
He got them guests on the Rolodex, stopping by to talk about some Dynasty Superflex. Everybody, yo, commish is in. It's time to sit down to listen to John McGlynn. Yo, who we trading, who we fading, who we getting off the squad. Knowledge never overrated, playing for number one. And yo, McGlynn is in. It's time to let the fun begin. It's the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast with John McGlynn.
Welcome to Commissioner Evaluation Show. I'm John McGlynn. You can find me on X at JohnMcGlynn75. Only 4 more weeks of the fantasy regular season games left to play. How'd you guys do in your fantasy by apocalypse? Lots of crazy weeks this week. Lots of crazy weeks coming up. So let's get to the show. Let's breeze through some commissioner questions, some week 10 injuries, some week 11 waiver targets, some quick hits, team by team quick hits. We'll review some trades that went down in my Mighty McGlynn home dynasty leagues. And then we'll evaluate a team to see if it's a go for it now win team or a start selling. This week's one's kind of interesting, so I'm kind of looking to hear what you guys have to say because it's in a real bad situation. It's a good and bad situation, so we'll go about that. But I had to work. First of all, it's my daughter Maggie's 20th birthday today, so we've been running around, taking her out for breakfast, getting her nails done, all take her shopping, all kind of stuff like that. So it's been one of those days. I've been playing daddy for the last 6 hours, making my daughter happy. So that's what you got to do. She's one of 4. She's my my second youngest daughter and my third kid. So she's 20. I'm old. I have a 27-year-old, 22, 20, and 18-year-old. So that's what happens when you turn 49. You start having all these kids get older on you. It is what it is. But happy that I had to work midnights last Thursday, so I only had to listen to the Bears game instead of wasting my eyes watching the game because it's just sounded like a shit show, let alone watching it. But I got off at 7 a.m. Sunday morning, got home at 8, had some friends over at McGlynn's Pub, a.k.a. my garage, and started popping tabs. And I bought a case of Bodegas, which is a wonderful Mexican beer, and then drank some Orange Jameson. So made it all the way to the end of the terrible Raiders-Jets game. So I watched a whole day, 8 hours uninterrupted of Red Zone. I got back to a full day of going back to sleep at night. But I made it through the entire day of football, drinking beers with my friends and home league guys and shit like that. So I'm on vacation this week. I'm hitting Southern Illinois, going deer hunting with my son Steven, about 15 of my friends. We are stopping on the way down there at JT, where am I stopping at?
Project 47 Smokehouse.
This is JT's own bar. He owns a restaurant and a brewery. So I'm about 2-hour drive straight south of me. I'm going to head to my co-host Smokehouse on the way down there. We're going to eat tons of food. So we'll get to meet up and hug each other and make out and all the other shit like that. So
It'll be a good lunch. It'll be fun to have you guys.
Me and my son are some eaters, man. So you better we're gonna order left side of the menu and we'll probably finish it all. So but,
where's this at one more time? Where like sorry, I heard Smokehouse and Brewery and I blacked out because I'm hungry right now. So
yeah, it's a small town called Mahomet, Illinois, just outside of Champaign, Urbana, where the University of Illinois is. We're about 10 minutes from there. So I'm about 2 hours south of Chicago where John lives. So
okay, cool. So like when I go visit the in-laws in Chicago, I know where I can escape and I'll drive 2 hours. Fuck it, to get away from families.
there you go.
Where do they live
in swing by John's garage. You can hang out in John's garage and you'll be set. There
you go. Where do they live at in Chicago?
Elmhurst.
Oh yeah, you're the far west suburbs. Yeah, it's that's Elmhurst, about 20 minutes south of me. So you're really Elmhurst isn't really that far from, or 25 minutes northwest of me. So that's not too bad at all. When you're in town, let me know, man. I'll go out for a couple beers. I'll take you out for some Chicago food.
Hell yeah.
But that's so I can't wait. That's tomorrow morning. We'll be deer hunting all the way till Sunday. So good times. We have to make it, well, anyway, Jagger, tell us about yourself, where everybody can find you on all the platforms, what you do in the fantasy football world that makes people want to follow you, all that kind of stuff.
Cool. First off, not a lot of people know this because my name is Hart. It's a Hart J. I'm named after Mick Jagger and Bob Dylan. My biological mom liked to party hard and loved rock and roll, and I'm the result of that. So you can find me at Fantasy Blue Chip. Most of my stuff is over at Football Guys. I help over at Dynasty Degens, and then I host Dynasty Hour on Wednesdays. So I'm all over the place. Like I said, like most people, my resume is on Twitter where I keep all my stuff until that platform finally dies for real. I don't know if it ever will.
No, it seems to be the go-to place still for most. There's a lot of other things like the alter ego of Twitter opened up. I forgot what it was called, but then Twitter turned into X, and then there's been other platforms that tried opening and stuff. I don't know. I think Twitter's just. I think so many people are just used to how Twitter works that it's probably the steady place for contributing, I guess. But it's fine with me. I'm old. I don't like change, so it's perfect. I'm probably gonna stay here. So. What's your favorite thing to do in fantasy football? Ranking, podcasting, like your social media stuff. Like, what's your favorite thing to do? Editing.
My favorite thing to do is, I guess, videos. And like, I guess my style, I'm kind of one of the few that only do the way that I do it. I write them like a stand-up set. That's my niche. That's what I like to do. And outside of that, it's podcast, doing this, talking to other people. I'm not just arguing on, Twitter or something like that. Actually having a nuanced conversation with other people. Like if it doesn't just provide entertainment, which most of the time it does, it's even just for me, it's pretty enlightening. You can't just always live in a bubble, like an echo chamber. So always go talk to different people.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me about a day away from the desk at the content creation, family, pets, music, hobbies, all that kind of stuff. What does Jagger May do on the on his free time?
Free time's comic books. Like working on writing one right now. I'm a huge collector. Behind me, I've got all my most expensive ones displayed. Then I have I don't have the kids yet. I got 2 dogs and a cat, and I feel overwhelmed. So I'm always really impressed that content creators that have kids. I'm like, my dog's pacing around, looking at me like I owe her money because she needs a walk right now, waiting for me to get done. So those are my kids for right now. So.
Take your time. They're no hurry. These kids, once they come, they're a handful, man. So, yeah. Well, that's cool. What's your favorite food when you're glued to TV watching Red Zone on Sunday afternoons?
Man, I'm classic. I don't think you can go wrong with some wings. There's so many different sauces, so many different ways to dip them. I don't get tired of wings. Like I get that so many people love chicken tenders and chicken nuggets, but like to me, a wing is just an elevated like chicken tender or chicken nugget, and I'm not like a little softy who can't eat off the bone. So give me wings 10 times out of 10.
Hooters or Buffalo Wild Wings?
The real answer is neither, but if I have to pick, it's Buffalo Wild Wings.
Project 47 wings, man.
Project
That's where
40,
it's at.
I'm going to find out about them Project 47
That's
wings
right.
this weekend. What's the best thing at your restaurant, JT? What am I ordering this week? I saw the double hamburger with the pulled pork on there too. That's right up my alley.
Yeah, the sloppy Jake. It's a double smash burger with bacon, jalapeno, cheese, pulled pork on it on Texas toast. It's fire. Our barbecue Cuban is a little bit different than your typical Cuban. It's really good. Brisket's always a big seller. Pulled pork's always a big seller. But the smoked wings, we sell a ton of our smoked wings as well.
That's smoked wings right there.
Yeah, smoked wings are good. There's a place on Roosevelt and Ashland right by UIC that we used to go to for lunch every day at work. And it was they had a double gyro burger and with tons of that cucumber sauce on there. It was a double half-pound burger with about a pound of or a half pound of gyro meat on there with cucumber sauce and grilled onions, and it was on like bread, but it had pita like on both sides too. It was absolutely awesome. It was like $12, but man, it fills you to fuck up, man. It was.
I say that thing
food,
sounds monstrous.
It was great. It was awesome, absolutely outstanding. So, all right, cool. We've got some commissioner questions here. Jagger, what's a fun format you would encourage everybody to try, like that's in the normal league, super flex, tight end premium, and something different that you tried that you like?
I guess like this year I didn't get super adventurous, and I didn't want to add too many leagues, so I do like super flex, tight end premium dynasty is my bread and butter on there. But one thing that I know this is crazy. One thing that I really like, I like dynasty IDP. Like not enough people do it. And I know that like that's something that's like, to my opinion, it's old school. IDP's been around a long time, and it's something that I did try one time, and it was like a little bump of crack, just a little bit. And I'm like, oh yeah, I need a little bit more of this. And I'm like, can we get more complex? Can we get individual positions and not just like a IDP flex positions and stuff like that? So that's something that, like, especially this off season, I would like to consume other people's content and get a little bit more in, because I don't know if you guys are like me, but the whole purpose of this is trying to create the like real football as much as possible. And no one's going to let me run an NFL team. So, like give me some IDP and I can get just a little bit closer.
There's a guy right above you. There's a guy right above you on the screen that, there's a guy right above you on the screen that does IDP rankings for DLF. So it's,
I love IDP, John. I keep telling him I got to get him in a league. He's never done an IDP league. I love IDP. I'm in a bunch of IDP dynasty leagues where we play full, like 22 man rosters, full 11 starters on defense, 11 starters on offense. It's pretty crazy, but I'm trying to talk John into one next year. We'll see if we can get him involved in one, but I love IDP, but we don't usually get to talk about that on the show because John's not an IDP guy.
maybe one day. I commission a bunch of home leagues in the Chicagoland area. So Jagger, if you're ever, you come down when you gotta make it for a rookie draft one of these days or a brand new startup or shit like that, we meet up for do individual stuff for all my dynasty home leagues. They're 12 team, 30 team deep, tight end premium, super flex, and there's a bunch of people all over the Chicago area, that are in these leagues. Pat Fitzmaurice and Nick Scripp and a bunch, all the dudes that live around this area. JT's in my league this year. All kind of people that are writers, podcasters, content creators. It's not, it's a lot of people that everybody already knows. Kyle August, I mean, there's tons of people in my leagues, but it's all in-person stuff. We have rookie draft lotteries. We have, bingo ball draft lotteries for picks 1 to 6, depending on your, the bracket for the rookie drafts and stuff. They're super fun. So, here we go. I smell a dynasty IDP. Might have McGlynn league forming. Oh, maybe we'll see.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about, Chris.
Maybe
that's what
Chris.
I'm talking about.
Chris just had a good.
I love
Chris
it.
Chris had a decent week this week in our home league. So he's his team's up and coming, man. I like what he did here. So
I won a couple weeks in a row, and then I finally Tim George just smacked me this week. Stayed undefeated. After I was I tried to knock off the undefeated team, I couldn't get it done.
Yeah, he's 10-0 now. That guy, he's set for right now, but he's in for a good time, not a long time. So this might be his only.
That's for sure.
Yeah. At what point in time does the commissioner have the right to step in and veto a trade in let's just say a redraft or a dynasty league? Jagger, I'll go with you. Jagger, I'll go with you first.
To me, it's if it's just blatant collusion. Like, I will let a lot of shit go. You roast them and shame them in the group chat or whatever if it gets really bad. But if it's blatant collusion, then you got to step in. Like, personally, in like my home league, and one of them, we had one pop up where a guy, it's kind of his like second dynasty league. So like people were kind of propping him up to do collusion without telling him he was doing collusion. So It was like a weird thing. I was like, bro, I can't punish you because you didn't know better. I was like, but you fuckers who told him to do it. Like, I don't even know how to punish you because it's like technically you got someone else to do the dirty work.
I had a trade.
Got to take advantage of the new guy. Got to take advantage of the new guy.
Exactly.
That's what happens.
Someone just sent me this trade this morning in a Dynasty Superflex, which, it's Jalen Hurts was one side. The other side was Jordan Addison, a 24 second, a 24 third, a 25 first, 25 second, and third for Jalen Hurts. So it's Jordan Addison, 24 second and third, and a 25 first, second, and third for Jalen Hurts in a Superflex Dynasty. It's a ripoff, but I mean, at the same time,
it's not enough. I mean, you'd have to be desperate to try to move. That's not enough for Hurts. I mean, the way he's playing right now, you need a couple firsts.
I mean,
for at least.
First. Yeah,
Hurts is a top 3 dynasty asset right now in Superflex. It's just like regardless, like I think he's a franchise quarterback. Is he a top 3 quarterback overall? Probably not. But again, for our purposes of fantasy, that tush push, baby, it's a gift that keeps on giving.
You ain't kidding, man. I mean, he's got 2 touchdowns a game almost on the tush push alone.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. How does everybody get tackled to the fucking 1 yard line on the Eagles? I don't get how that's ridiculous. Every game.
Everybody gets tackled on the 1 and he scores. I'm like, how does no one ever get in the end zone? Like every time they run the replay, I'm like, oh, they're gonna count him down. They're gonna say his knee touched. It's gonna be down on the 1 yard line. It happens every time.
Yep.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift, man, like I own a lot of him, and he's been fine. But he'd be fucking fantastic if they let him get a carry.
Right.
Yeah,
he's on the
inside the 3. Jeez.
If you're in a redraft league, I'm not in very many redraft leagues, and there's not a lot of ones that already have a trade deadline, but ones that don't. Do you allow trades that are when people, or even in I wouldn't say dynasty because dynasty trades all the time, but in redraft leagues, do you allow teams to trade that are mathematically eliminated?
No. I don't.
So there's no way for this team to make the playoffs, and there's playoff teams in there right now. So would you allow a team that's in the playoffs to trade? If there was a team that was undefeated and there's a guy that hasn't won a game all season long, and this guy's trying to go for it, what is the incentive in a redraft league to make that trade possible? I don't think you should, because what's the incentive for this guy who's 0-12 or 0-10 right now to trade? He's not making the playoffs. There's no, I mean, as a commissioner, you kind of have to say, no, there's no reason for that guy to trade. So you have to be 100% mathematically eliminated from the playoffs by points, by your record, by whatever the deal may be, whatever your rules are. But I think at some point in time, you still allow trading for teams that are playoff bound. Or if you have a shit bracket, those teams can play against each other. A shit bowl, those teams can trade against each other, but not the bottom bracket to the top bracket if those teams are actually eliminated, kind of thing.
I know for me, it's that's why you have trade deadlines. Like a lot of them are now, a lot of them were last week on there. And luckily I don't do a lot of redraft anymore because of shit like that. Like you said, like, I feel like out of all the things we say with dynasty, everyone's in there for like a long time. So everyone is like willing to at least come to a conclusion. In a redraft, I feel like everyone's got a loaded gun and just ready to pop off and do something. Like I've had a dude drop his whole team because like he clearly cheated. And I'm like, dude, you cheated. He's like, you know what? Fuck you, man. And then just like drops this whole team. I'm like, okay, cool. So that's like a whole fucking problem now. So like with redraft, it's trade deadline. And then if I have serious people, like say if we all had a redraft league where I know you guys are like some real mofos who like understand, then I'll put in those. If you're like mathematically limited, you're done trading, and then you'll be willing to listen. But a lot, especially like the normies, as I like to affectionately call them, that are like ESPN leagues or something like that, just give them the trade deadline and just pray.
Yeah, pray nobody like goes in there and does something crazy. A lot of my redraft leagues, we just don't see a lot of trading in the last 15 years I've been in the league. It's very rarely our teams making trades. And usually it's because people are like, well, it's only this season. If I trade and make you better, like that hurts me. So like, it's very rare that people will make a trade unless it's like an obvious, like I need a QB and you've got an extra third QB and I'm going to trade you for a running back because I'm desperate. It happens very rarely. Most leagues I do that are home leagues that I commish, I do keeper. So that keeps teams involved. So then when guys are making trades, I always do 2 weeks out or 3 weeks out from the playoffs. So you have to like make a decision right away. Like, am I going for it? And if I'm not, I'm trading. And if I'm trading, why am I trading? Well, I'm trading to get either draft picks for next year or I'm trading to get keepers, guys that maybe, got drafted really late and I can get as like a 15th round keeper next year. And I can trade him a guy that was my first round pick this year that I'm not going to keep anyway. So that's how it works in a lot of my leagues. The guys are making trades is you've got to make that decision of going for it or not. And a lot of times if people are making trades, it's because they're bettering their situation for the next year. So you don't have to worry about them just unloading players for no reason for one season. But I've never really run into that situation other than I did have a league where a guy and his wife were in the league and they broke up and the guy got mad and just dropped his whole team like right before the playoffs. And I was like, waiver wires came up. I'm like, pause everything. Like, because this guy's whole team was out there. I'm like, whoa, what are we doing with this? So that's a, hopefully you don't ever have that situation in your leagues, but I know what you mean. It's just somebody goes off the deep end and does something nuts.
Yep.
Yeah. What's a rule that you want your commissioner to implement in your leagues next year? Like a point for first down or a tight end premium or like a tiered scoring system. Say you started a brand new dynasty league next year. what's something that you don't have in your leagues right now that you'd love to see your commissioner implement in a new startup? Jagger, we'll go
Actually,
with
it's
you.
like Scott Fishbowl, man. Like I definitely like taking things from that. Like I think the points per carry is like the new thing because like one, it kind of offsets um the grinder running backs from the PPR kings. You know, like your David Montgomerys have just as much value of Jahmyr Gibbs. You know, even though Jahmyr Gibbs has the passing upside because you're getting that little extra bump on carries. So I think that's a cool way to help level out things. I also like to reward big plays too because I think for like wide receivers, you also have that PPR thing where like guys who aren't let's say aren't appreciated because they make all their bread and butter on 3 or 4 catches, but still have value to a team. How do we give them value in the fantasy? So I think like getting like big play boosts is just another way to help kind of balance everything and like give you other levels to pull and a different way to build a team.
Yeah, Sleeper has limited. You can't even get like a 500-point passing bonus. They can't have it. Like Fantrax has a bunch of those kind of bonuses for that, and MFL does too. But MFL's app is terrible. That's the only thing with MFL. I better use if I'm going to have all the bonuses and stuff like that. I probably want to use like Fantrax or Sleeper is the best on this on the cell phone as far as I'm concerned. Like as far as regular person league, it's an uptick from Yahoo and ESPN and all that kind of stuff. But as far as settings are concerned, they're still limited. Where other things like Fantrax kind of have a lot more stuff. So I just wanted to plug Fantrax a little bit there. But they're so far our hockey league's running pretty well. JT's in a couple. They have auto racing. They have tennis. They have all kind of stuff like that. So looking to Fantrax if you're looking to make more of the first down carries, things like that. All the I love the first down carries for Derrick Henrys and Nick Chubbs and guys like that who don't catch the ball too often, but they're going to get 25 carries and they're going to get 7 first downs. So now you got 7 extra points for your guy, which that's usually 4 or 5 catches a game is what receivers get for PPR anyway. So it's the same thing. I love that. I love those kind of scripts. And Scott Fish, like you said, he's implementing all this stuff that nobody even thought of before. And it's like, who the hell would do that? And by the end of the season, like, wow, this is pretty damn cool, man. Like, so yeah. Absolutely.
I was gonna say Jagger. I was like on this, like as soon as he started saying that, I was like, that's all stuff I was gonna say. Like I love the points per carry, like mixing in whether it's 0.2 or 0.25 or whatever you want to do for it. I love that to help running backs out. I love the deep bonuses. Like that's something I've been implementing in a lot of my leagues. So if you get a guy that only gets 3 catches, but he gets 85 yards, and 2 of the catches are like 30 yarders or 40 yarders. I love getting longer plays, especially running plays. I think the long runs should get more bonuses. You just don't see a ton of them. So those are usually huge plays that swing games. And I'm like big into like the plays that swing games. Like you said, John, first downs, that 3rd and 1 is a big play. That guy should get a bonus for getting that first down on 3rd and 1, I think. So I love the first down add-ons. I love the point per carry for running backs. And in leagues where you can do it, because so many running backs do a little bit of everything. I love the bonus if you go over 100 total yards, whether it's receiving, rushing, if you can kind of do those combine. I love it where you can get a running back gets like 40 yards rushing, but 60 yards receiving, and you get a 100-yard bonus because he went over 100, even though it wasn't just rushing and receiving. So I'm big into all that stuff as well.
I like tiered scoring where if you have like 97 yards, you get like 5.7 points or 5.8 points instead of the full 6 points. You get 0 when it's 99 yards, but you get 6 points when it's 100. I like when it's tiered so you can actually get. So if you get 50 yards, you're going to get 3 points. If you get 60 yards, you get 3.5 points, that kind of stuff. It just makes it a little bit more easier, I think, for all the positions, for quarterback, running back, tight end, wide receiver, everything like that. I like the tiered stuff when you can implement those things. So, all right. What I was going to ask you what a kicker ball was last night, but everybody kind of explained it on the TV. Did you guys ever hear, like, when you were watching the game last night, they were talking about the kicker ball was a big deal. Did you guys see that? Did you watch the game last night at all?
I did, but I guess I missed that part of it.
They were.
Like
It was a.
I missed
And
that
they were
too.
talking about it on Good Morning Football this morning about a kicker ball too, and I'm like, what the hell? It's a special ball. It's got to be with a K on there, and it can't be altered at all because people used to put things in the oven. They put shaving cream all over them. They inflate it to like 35 pounds, that kind of stuff. So now they have special kicker balls that have to be initiated by the NFL that only kickers can use. So I thought it was pretty cool. But then after I read it, I'm like, oh, it makes sense. It's just something marked with a K that only the kicker can use, nobody else, so it can't be altered. But my little tidbit for today, nothing.
I totally missed that. I did not realize. It makes sense though. If you look at the balls, they always look. Every ball that they kick looks brand spanking new.
Yeah.
It's like every time you see the hold in the slow-mo replay, it's like, I'm like, man, that ball looks like it's never been used before. All those balls always look like exactly brand new.
I remember I was my high school kicker, and like you learn at a young age, those brand new balls suck ass to
Oh, they're
kick.
the worst.
Yeah, it's like you want that old dusty thing out there, that's the one you want to kick.
Yeah, someone's got like little beat up. That leather's a little softer. You can get into it a little more. Yeah, those brand new balls, man. Yeah, they're a little too. They're just too firm. Like you got to get them. They're a little beat up. They're much better.
I played 16-inch softball my whole life, and you can't use gloves. It's just a big, softball, and it comes out of the box, and it feels like a brick. And I played first base, and every time someone hit it, the first thing would be a shortstop, right to the shortstop, 100 miles an hour, right at my hands. I'm like, oh! But towards the end of the game, it was like a mush ball, so it was perfect. But it's so hard when it first starts to get going. So, all right. So let's get to the injuries. So, JT, what did you find for injuries this week when you?
Just went down a quick list of some stuff. Matt Stafford, it sounded like they're thinking he's going to play this week. If he doesn't, Carson Wentz is the new backup for the Rams. But like I said, Stafford is expected to play against the Seahawks. Derek Carr, shoulder injury plus the concussion that brought Jameis Winston in. Your boy finally got some playing time. Jameis might go depending on what happens with Carr, but it is a bye week for the Saints. So they're going to reevaluate him. They're thinking he might start, but I know a lot of people out there in the fantasy community would love to see another Jameis game. So, but we'll have to keep an eye on that. That's for quarterbacks. Running backs, the big news was the Dolphins opened the 21-day window for Devin Achane to return from the IR, so he could be coming back anytime. So a lot of people pumped about that. Wide receiver front, Zay Jones still having a little bit issues with the knee, but he also got arrested for domestic violence on Monday. So we're going to see what happens with that, if that's something that ends up affecting him for the rest of the season, or what comes there. So Zay Jones is a trial. Odell Beckham did not practice. He's got a sore knee, questionable whether he is going to play this week. Also on that front, T. Higgins, right now they're saying he's likely out Thursday night game against the Ravens with that hamstring injury. They don't think he's going to be back possibly in time. And I did not see what the exact injury was, but I did see Michael Thomas for the Saints. There's word that he has a significant injury, but I'm not sure exactly what it was. I did not see before we got on air. But yeah, he is likely hurt and possibly out for a bit.
Yeah, it was a knee injury. They didn't say the exact. They're waiting on tests and stuff before they say anything. But right now, knee injury. So we'll see what happens there. And yes, we are looking for the Jameis Winston comeback season. As every year, I'm looking for the Jameis Winston comeback season because he's my guy and I love him and he loves me and we're in love, and that's what's going to happen. So hopefully that happens. But they're going to.
He made things fun when he came in there for the Saints. That was
started off
at least
blazing,
made it interesting.
I was like, yes, he's not losing his job, and then he throws 2 picks. I'm like, son of a bitch.
It's Jameis being Jameis is what he does.
It's all right. I love Jameis for being Jameis. That's okay. All right. So waiver wires. What'd you get for waiver wires, JT?
Not a lot out there right now. Obviously, if you're in a redraft league or you're in a league where you're kind of hurting for a QB, I am in a couple of leagues where I've got a ton of injuries. Russell Wilson playing pretty well the other night. Hasn't put up crazy stats, but it's been very consistent. 5 out of the last 6 games, he's looked pretty good. Devin Singletary, career high in carry, 30 for Houston, big one for him. So he's a guy, if he's still out there, you want to grab him as Damian Pierce is still out. The Madison concussion for the Vikings, we'll have to keep an eye on him, but Ty Chandler came in, played pretty well, so he might be a guy to be looking to pick up. Ravens, not getting a ton of carries, but has been really good when he's got them. Keaton Mitchell coming back from the Ravens, the rookie. If he's still out there in your leagues, he's a possible big play pickup as he's had a couple 30-yard runs for them this year already. Waiver claim news, nothing big on the fantasy front, but JaMychal Hasty was picked up by the Patriots off the waivers from the Jaguars. So that's it for running backs. Staying with the Patriots, Demario Douglas.
Wait, hold on. Michael Carter got caught today.
I was just, oh, yep. I was sorry. I had that lower on the mix. Yes, Michael Carter for the Jets got released today, kind of out of nowhere for him. I had that under the NFL news and rumors, but we'll throw that in there. So Michael Carter, he's gone. So we'll see what happens with him if somebody comes out and picks him up. All kinds of teams need running backs, so I figure somebody will give him a shot. As we move to wide receivers, Demario Douglas, Patriots. Kind of seems like he's the guy right there, the only guy that Mac Jones could hit the other night. So he's got to pick up. Texans, Noah Brown has absolutely gone off the last 2 weeks for the Texans. If you weren't lucky enough to pick him up yet and he's still out there, go get him now. I got him in a couple leagues and he saved me in a few leagues I played last week. Brandon Cooks, a guy that might have been dropped in your redraft leagues. A dude that's just really struggled to find his spot with the Cowboys. Just monster game as well as everyone else for the Cowboys the other night. So he's a guy that might still be out there. And then a deep league pickup for the Bengals. Trent Irwin, wide receiver with Higgins out, is a guy that some people in deeper leagues have been kind of going and grabbing just in case because of the injury to T. Higgins. Other than that, on the tight end front, not much. Top guys out there, if they're not in your league, especially in redraft league, Luke Musgrave for the Packers, Michael Mayer for the Raiders, or get some guys, some rookies are starting to get a little more run here of late.
So they got this on Sleeper. They have this team performances, and it says like what percentage you have of your team. I have all those guys we talked about on the waiver wire from before. So I scored 257 points, which was top in the league this week. But if I would have started my players that all did good, I would have had 368 points and I would have smoked the next person by like 100 and probably 90 points, the second place finisher. Like it was one of those. I have all these awesome guys on my team that are just like the Noah Brown and stuff like that, who are having really good weeks right now. But you know, I'm the number one team in the league. I've only tied once, but other than that, I'm undefeated. But it's a dynasty league. The team's stacked, and I got a deep roster, and it's one of those things where it's like, shit, I'm playing Chris Godwin this week and he sucks. And then Noah Brown's doing awesome. Or DJ Moore, I'll sit DJ Moore and he'll have 4 touchdowns and 300 yards. I'm like, dude, this is bullshit, man. Like I can't make the right fucking choices, you know. But it's good. It's a good problem to have a deep team like that when you're, you know, Derrick Henry and, you know, I'm sitting I'm sitting Rashad White and putting in, Joe Mixon, and then Mixon has a shit week, and then Rashad White scores 32 points. I'm like, oh, he's up and down. But it's one of those things, man. Everybody has those leagues. Everybody has those teams. You know, with a 12-team, 30-man deep roster, you're going to have a pretty good, you know, a deep player pool. So it is what it is. But okay, waiver wire, that's done. So let's get to Jagger. Anybody else you want to add to these lists? Anybody you heard about that you kind of we missed maybe?
No, you got them all. We're in week 10 now. There's not a whole lot out there.
Not a lot floating around. Yeah.
Everybody's All right. So we're gonna go. This is our little shtick here. We go about 10 seconds. Probably trying to keep about 10 to 15 seconds, real fast, kind of answer about what's going on with each team. I'm gonna ask a question. You just throw out what you think real fast, and we'll move on team to team. You guys on the list, it says your questions next to your name. So JT, we'll start with you. Bears. People in Chicago are already actually thinking that Tyson Bagent should keep the starting job, even when Justin Fields is healthy. How crazy is that?
It's crazy. I mean, that's real crazy. I like Tyson Bagent. He was a guy I was rooting for in training camp, that he would make the team and be the backup, because I really like him. I think he has a chance to improve and be better. But starting him over just a healthy Justin Fields is just lunacy. It's crazy talk. I'm glad the Bears have got some wins with Bagent, but like let's get it under control, people. Justin Fields is much better quarterback, and the Bears have a much better chance to win with him in there.
Tyson Bagent at best will be a good backup quarterback for his career, and Justin Fields,
I think he could be a solid backup. Yep.
If he goes to a team next year like Atlanta and has all them weapons on there with a decent offensive line, with a decent defense and all those weapons, yeah, I mean he is going to what he's been dealt with in Chicago the last couple of years has kind of been pitiful. It kind of sucks that he started his career out behind the 8 ball with this bullshit, you know, of no offensive line, no receivers, no coaching, no everything kind of stacked against him. No, believe me, I think he could have done a little bit more. He needed some growing to do, but I think he's learned a lot from the last couple of years. And I think the Bears, first of all, should sign him a 5th-year option. That should be the best option because now you
Absolutely.
have trade a draft pick away. If you get number 1 pick, trade it back, get offensive line, get the kid from Notre Dame, play left tackle, get a couple other more picks in this draft and next year's draft, and build around Justin Fields. Give him one more chance. If not, hey, if the Atlanta's going to come with a good trade offer, and you get more draft picks and hopefully one of the top couple quarterbacks, and it is what it is. But I just think that the Bears their whole plan was to get the team like this for Justin Fields to prosper, and now it's there, and now they're going to talk about getting rid of Justin Fields. It doesn't make any sense. Like I just think they need a little patience.
I don't think it's happening. I think I just think that's talk. I don't think the Bears have any plans on getting rid of Justin Fields.
No, I don't think so either. Jagger, Bengals. Is it Joe Burrow or Brian? Is it Joe Burrow being that good, or is it Brian Callahan's offense?
It's Joe Burrow being that good. I think Brian Callahan's offense is very predictable. I think it's like arguably a slight. I don't even think it's a step up for Ken Dorsey, who you're going to talk about in a minute. It's just that Burrow has much better receivers than Josh Allen has. So it's all Burrow.
Yeah, JT. Bills. Ken Dorsey fired his offensive coordinator. Was that the right move by the Bills?
I don't think so. I don't think this is the move right now. They've been a solid offense. It's not Ken Dorsey's fault they keep turning the ball over. I mean, that's not his fault that that mad turnovers left and right. Guys can't make plays. They don't have enough personnel. I don't know. I think the expectations are so high for the Bills that people just are out on him all of a sudden. I don't think it was the move right now. Again, guys got to hold on to the football. It's not his fault that Josh Allen's throwing picks. It's also not Josh Allen's fault when he's throwing the ball right to his wide receiver and hits him in the hands and ends up as an interception. So I just don't know if it's the move right now. I think to me, it's a little overreaction by the Bills because they expected to be, whatever, 8-2 or 7-3 at this point, and they're 5-5. But looking at their schedule at the beginning of the year, I mean, it's a bad loss to the Broncos, but I think a lot of people expected them to regress a little bit this year just because of schedule and how difficult it was.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Jagger, Broncos. Russell Wilson has been pretty efficient 5 out of the last 6 games. Will Russ cook the rest of the season?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's come a long way from last year to where he's at right now. That might be a coaching thing. That might be the players around him right now. But yeah, absolutely. JT Browns injuries and rust have made Deshaun Watson look a little bad right now. But he's going to be a top 7 quarterback again next year, right?
I'm out on Deshaun
Shut
Watson,
up.
man. I'm out on him, man. I just don't see it. And he has to make a dramatic turnaround. He does not look good. I mean, this team, I'm telling you, if you put Watson on another team that didn't have this defense that's covering for him big time, I think you'd have people just all over him. But it's like, again, they're winning some games. They look decent because the defense has been so good. I'm out on Deshaun Watson as a top 5 or 6 guys the rest of the way. I mean, he would have to dramatically change. He's dropping every day in my rankings.
I expected growing pains, and I expected Nick Chubb this season to help with the growing pains. He doesn't have that. I love Jerome Ford. Don't get me wrong; he's one of my favorite running backs. You know that. But I think next year when the whole team's together, but Nick Chubb just had surgery today or yesterday, right? To repair his ACL, so he can be back for middle of next year at least. But I just think this team wasn't developed. It wasn't ready right now for him to come in and just be a baller. It is what it is. But I'm gonna wait until he gets a whole offseason and come back next year. That's what I'm rooting for. So where are we at here? Jagger, Buccaneers. Does Mike Evans become the highest paid free agent in next year's offseason?
No, I think that goes to T. Higgins still.
Well, there you go. That's a good one. JT, Cardinals. How much longer do I have to buy Michael Wilson in Dynasty?
Oh man, it's tough. He kind of peaked a couple weeks ago where everybody was kind of all over him, and he was like that hot guy to go get or pick up. A couple like okay weeks here in between. The thing is, if he gets one big game with Kyler back, you're gonna have to spend a ton to get him. So if you want him enough, you got to go get him now because he gets 8 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown game with Kyler, and people are just gonna be like, this is the duo for next year. Yeah. Kyler's going to be there. He's going to be the man. He's going to be the number 1, and people are going to be all over him. He's going to get real expensive.
Real fast.
Fucking love Michael Wilson.
I love
yeah, I'm going to be pumping that all that love for him. I'm going to be one of those guys. It's going to be like, this is a stack you want.
I got him in like 6 leagues. So I don't have to, the couple leagues I don't have him in, the guys who have him in other leagues that are in leagues, other leagues with me know that I want him. And they're just like, yeah, that'll be, the price tag's way too high. So Probably
Yeah.
not him there either. But Jagger, Chargers. Why does Quentin Johnson look like every time he caught the ball, it's the first time he ever caught the ball?
He's never been good at catching. I evaluated everyone, put out a scouting report when I was at DFF still. And I'm not trying to victory lap, but I'm right, man. Like the things that he's not good at are things that most NFL teams expect you to be polished at. You know, he's not a good route runner and he's not a great hands catcher. I don't know what to tell you guys other than the truth, man. He's not it.
I don't think he has a choice but to be peppered with balls, so he's going to be it whether you like it or
Yep.
not, I think. But he's not going to
Yeah.
be. He's not going to be that guy that could be it if he was a good player that had this opportunity. Also, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, you're trying to sell him.
Yeah, I would say as soon as he has one big game, I mean, he's getting 5 catches now or 7 targets, 5 catches for 35, 40 yards. But I mean, he should be having way bigger games than that right now with his, when Michael, what's his name? Who went down? Who got hurt?
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams.
Mike Williams. Yeah.
When Mike Williams got hurt, I thought, okay, here we go. And everybody talked about it. Is it going to happen? And it hasn't happened yet. And that's a bad sign. So, JT, Chiefs after the bye week, Rashee Rice is about to become a new star on this team.
I really like Rashee Rice. The issue is, I mean, Mahomes he just spreads it around so much. But I think Rice is by far their best receiver, obviously outside of Travis Kelce, their tight end. I think he's the best wide receiver on the wide receiver core, and it's not even close. He's the guy I would want to own big time. I've got a couple deep leagues where he's behind a few guys, and I have Mahomes, and I just every week I want to start him. I just want that. I want that combo. I just think he's going to have a big game coming up. But he's a guy I like. I want to get as much of Rice going forward as I can.
Yeah. Jagger, Colts, how the hell is Isaiah McKenzie outperforming Josh Downs and Alec Pierce in Indianapolis?
I think Isaiah McKenzie, it's Josh Downs being hurt. He didn't play most of the game on Sunday. Alec Pierce just sucks. I can't defend him. I just think he's not that good. So
I love what JT's Colts season ticket holder. So I love asking other people Colts questions and seeing his reaction when people say that people suck on the team. It's absolutely awesome. I traded JT. I gave him Alec Pierce, and I got Trey McBride back. So I was like, yeah.
I know. I'm like looking at that. I was like, I got burned on that one. Now I'm like, damn it. But I don't know if you saw the stat during the game. Alec Pierce leads the league in total yards run. I said this early in the year. I said they got to do something else other than just run him deep every play. And that's literally what they're doing. They're just running him deep every play. And without Richardson in there, Minshew just doesn't have the arm to get it to him downfield. And without Richardson in there, I think that's the big problem. He just hardly gets any routes that isn't a go route. So it's tough for him to be good.
Next year when Richards is healthy and he's got that he's polished at that receiver, that's
he's going to be that guy with like
combination.
2 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. I'm going to love it.
I'm victory laughing right now, but I know what's coming in the future, so it's kind of scaring me a little bit. Yes. All right, let's see. JT, Cowboys, are you buying Tony Pollard right now low, or are you selling Rico Dowdle high?
Oh, man, I do not have hardly any Pollard, and I was real nervous coming in the season when everybody was up on him. I just wasn't sold. I liked him as the change of pace back, and for the value, I didn't love him as my number one. If you got him, you probably have too much into him to sell what you could sell him for. I mean, you almost have to hold him and just hope and see what happens. I'm not sold on Dow. I just don't know that he's going to be. I mean, he had a nice game the other night. I think he's a decent back and running back, but I don't think he takes over this running back room by any means.
No, yeah,
you're sleeping. No, I'm just kidding. He's not good. He's not good.
Jagger, Dolphins with a fully healthy Dolphins team coming out of the bye. Are the Raiders going to get rolled worse than the Broncos did in Week 3?
I don't know, to be honest, because I think Antonio Pierce is. We're seeing kind of another Dan Campbell. Do I think they get rolled? Yes, but the question was as bad, and I think that is no, because that Broncos team was one of the worst teams I have looked at in this season. I think that particular version of the Broncos was the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah, they've made a couple strides, man. I'm kind of they're coming along, but yeah, it looked like I'm like who's coaching this team? Who are you kidding me? But yeah, they've come a long way in a couple of weeks. So you got to give it to them. It's just figuring out where everything's at. JT Eagles, speaking of an ex-Bronco here, Albert O will be a league winner because it doesn't matter who is at tight end on the Eagles. The position is getting the looks, right?
You set me up for this one. You know I love Albert O. I want him to get him looks, but we've learned the Eagles, when Goddard got hurt last year, everybody went and picked up all their other tight ends thinking somebody's going to – nah, they didn't even throw the ball to him. They just ignored him. They just threw it outside to Devontae.
Devontae got them all,
Brown.
baby.
He got them all. A.J. Brown got them all. Now they got, Swift coming out of the backfield. If I would love to see Albert O get some looks, but I have a feeling – that they're just going to use those guys blocking and they're not going to get the ball to the tight ends at all. But I would love to see it. I would absolutely love to see old Mizzou Albert O with a big game. Somebody uses athleticism. Guy's a beast.
Me and you both. Jagger, Falcons. Do the Falcons sell the farm to get Justin Fields from the Bears, or do they just keep wasting all this talent with below-average quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think it's the second one that they like. If anything, they're going to draft someone that is like a JJ McCarthy, who could be good. He's definitely better than Desmond Ridder. I just don't see them going out of their way to pay for Justin Fields. Like if anything, they would trade up. Do I want that to happen? Yeah, I actually like the Bears. Like, again, they're my in-laws family, so I feel like torn from that question. But like, I kind of want Justin Fields in a new environment. But again, with Arthur Smith, I think he's another Josh McDaniels. I think he's so arrogant that he doesn't believe that he needs someone with talent to run his offense.
Agreed. Unfortunately, agreed. JT, 49ers. You win by 31 points, but you can't find a way to keep Christian McCaffrey's touchdown streak alive. What's up with that, man?
It's brutal. I've got CMC everywhere. I've been betting on the touchdown bet like everyone else every week now, and it's just like you knew it was coming in at some point. Somehow everybody else got a score. Even the fullback got a touchdown, but seems at least what, I will give it to them that they at least at the end tried. Yeah. They really tried to get him in, and of course he got stopped on the pass and the run. But I at least give him the effort. I give it to him for the effort that they try to get him in the end zone to set the record.
The entire team knew that they were getting Christian McCaffrey's getting the ball. There was no way for him to get in the end zone at that point in time because they were like, I don't care who else scores as long as it's not McCaffrey.
They need to run like a triple pick route is what they needed to do, but it was tough.
Jagger, Giants, if you were Saquon Barkley, would you just fake an injury right now so you'd save yourself for a fat contract somewhere else next season?
Heck yes. I'd be like, oh, my neck, my back, my neck, and my back. like get out of there.
Backiotomy. Gotta get a backiotomy.
Yeah, my spleen. JT, Jaguars, is Trevor Lawrence elite?
Dude, this question, when I saw it on there, it hurts. It hurts. Man, I still think he can be. He is not playing like it right now. Wow. He literally single-handedly cost me about 5 wins this week with how terrible he played in that game. I had a couple leagues he scored me negative points. A few other leagues he scored me 1 or 2. I'm in a 2 QB league that DeVito outscored him.
Yep.
Outscored him by like 10 points. And I lost, I think, by 12. If he would have just put up 10 points, I would, 10, 11 points, I would have won. He scored me like 1 point. He's been brutal this year. I don't think it's all on him, but he's going to have to get it together. I'm hoping this is just that down year and he bounces back. But, man, he has not looked like I thought he would this year.
Man, I'm with you. I just at some point in time, when does he – I mean, you can't – well, just like Justin Fields, you can't make excuses for reasons why he's not performing. Is he performing as you're not? They gave him a bunch of receivers. They gave a bunch. Well, they just traded away an offensive lineman. That might have been some of the problem why he's not playing very well. But they gave him some receivers. He's got a good running back. He's familiar with in college. They got a better defense, by far. I don't know. You can't make excuses for bad quarterbacks why they're not, and make excuses why, for other reasons for other quarterbacks. So if he's not performing, you just have to call it as it is. I mean, he's just not doing it. He's not elite. Would you take him would you take him or like Joe Burrow right now in a startup?
Joe Burrow.
Oh, Burrow, it's not even close.
Not close, right?
And I mean, I went and made a bunch of trades for T-Law last year. I traded Hurts in a few leagues like before that and stuff for him. And I felt like really good about it. And now I'm like, man, I might have really screwed the pooch giving away Hurts for T-Law in a couple leagues.
What about Herbert?
To me, him and Herbert are right there. I feel like they're kind of about the same guy. Again, I feel like they're really similar. To me, they're right on the same page. Those two guys are.
That's, I think, the draw. Go ahead.
I traded Joe Burrow for Trevor Lawrence and the pick that was Anthony Richardson. At the beginning of the season, I was flying high. I was like, I fucking did it, guys. And now I'm looking at that roster. Anthony Richardson on IR and Trevor Lawrence gave me negative points. I just want to cry.
See, that seems like a home run trade. When you made it, you're like, yes, like this looks great. Oh,
hopefully next year that whole thing, turns in your favor. I'm not man. I just I can't believe what's going on there. We'll just leave it at that. But Jagger Jets, Zach Wilson did not even play that bad, but the penalties and play calls are the problem, right? It's not Zach Wilson, or is it really Zach Wilson?
I think Zach Wilson is some, but it's not all. Like Nathaniel Hackett is not a good play caller, and that offense is tailored for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is the only thing that can make it work because I think it gives him the freedom to do what he wants. Someone like Zach Wilson cannot make that work. I think that's proven that Russell Wilson could not make that offense work. And on top of that, the offensive line is very injured right now. And like you said, a lot of penalties. Every big play, like Breece Hall, this is a Breece Hall question too. Like Breece Hall has had so many big plays called back, so much yardage called back from poor offensive line play and penalties. It's hard to see.
Yeah. JT Lions, is Jameson Williams a buy low or an avoid altogether right now?
I'm buying low. If I can get James for something, that I would definitely do it, especially if I have Carr and I'm relying on him in a super flex league, something like that. I go get him. Oh, sorry, you're talking about Jameson. Sorry, I'm losing my mind. I'm still on Jameis. I mean, you could go get him. This is another guy I don't have any of. He wasn't who I wanted in that spot. I still think he has time to improve. I still think he has time to kind of get in the good graces of the team going into next season. But I would not be counting on him for anything really the rest of this year, personally.
Down Peoples Jones time, baby. Call it like it is.
Yep.
Jagger, Packers. Tell me what's wrong with Christian Watson without mentioning Aaron Rodgers.
He's not that great, man. There's a reason why he was the second pick. He has a lot of speed and very athletic, but he's not very polished. He's fast Quentin Johnston. Let's just say what it is. He's fast Quentin Johnston.
There you go. Good one. JT Panthers. Why is Big Mike Strachan, 6'5", 225, scoring more fantasy points than Jonathan Mingo?
It is crazy. When he caught that pass, I couldn't believe it because he's been on the Colts for the last 2 years. He was a D3 guy, great size, put up great numbers at D3 Charleston, West Virginia. I loved him on the Colts. I thought they were going to develop him a couple years, and I was actually a little disappointed when he left and signed away as on the practice squad and now on the roster for the Panthers, as he's a guy I thought year 3, year 4 might actually be able to develop into a usable pro wide receiver. But great deep pass to him, but that's what you're going to have to do. If you got a guy like him, 6'5", 225, you just got to throw it up and let him go and just go over the top and get it from a small DB.
Yeah. Jagger
but it sucks they're not getting Mingo the ball. I just say they got to get Mingo more looks.
Right. Jagger, Patriots. People are calling for this to be the end of the Bill Belichick era in New England. Should the Patriots fire Bill or give him another year and just let it turn around? Go ahead. I'll let you answer that first because I got a lot to say. But
I'm a Patriots fan. I'm wearing my Brewski jersey over here. I'm done with Bill, man. I'm done with the way that he does things. I'm just done. I think now we're seeing every one of his assistants goes and tries to do the same system that he does. Players don't want to buy into it because none of them have a record, and it's just not very effective right now. I love Bill Belichick. He's a Hall of Fame. He was one of the best coaches of all, if not one of the best coach of all time. It's just, this is what happens. I think he's out of touch right now. If anything, I think he doesn't need to be GM anymore because his roster building is poor outside of the defense. That offense, Mac Jones, he ruined. Now, am I saying Mac Jones is a stud? But I don't think Mac Jones is as bad as he's playing, and he looks like a whipped dog right now, and nothing seems to be working. They need to reset everything right now. Just reset, redo it. It sucks, but I don't think it's getting better with Bill.
Do you owe him anything for all those championships he brought? I mean, he only needs like 18 more, 19 more wins to be the all-time winningest coach. Do they owe him like one more year to get him what he needs to be the all-time winningest coach?
One more year can make this roster even worse. I don't think that's the way to think about it. No, I don't think they owe him that.
Yeah, that's.
I know.
That's
I was
pretty...
thinking about this with my buddy who's Brandon the other day. He's a huge Pats fan. We were just talking about because Colts Patriots played. First time I haven't been to a Colts Patriots game in like 15 years since I had season tickets. This is one of the only ones we missed. We were talking about it, and I was like, man, it's just so hard to push Belichick out. I could see Kraft like letting him either walk away at the end of the year or like give him one more year, just saying, hey, like this is the last year, right? And we're going to go in and tell everyone this is the last year for your finally like hurrah. I could see him maybe doing that just because of everything he's done. But man, just a blatant out and out firing just seems, it seems crazy. It seems like it needs to happen. But man, it just seems like the bad way to send out Bill Belichick.
For what he did for that franchise over the years. And I know there's a lot of Tom Brady, a lot of other people, that just got killed over the middle from Tom Brady. He's in a great defense all this time. But at the same time, I feel like you owe him a little something. Maybe letting him go right now just seems like ruthless, and kind of that kind of. But it is what it is. I mean, it's not for long, I guess, when you're not winning games. So it is what it is. JT Raiders, even at 5-5, doesn't this team just feel like it needs a grenade thrown in the locker room to start this whole thing over again?
I mean, I think getting rid of McDaniels was the number one move you had to do. I think he's terrible. Like Pierce has already made this team look better. Now they are deficient in a lot of areas as far as talent. The defense has surprisingly, to me, played way better than I thought they would be this year. Robert Spillane, talk to Steelers fans. We want him back. We'd love to have him right now with all the injuries. He's been great for the Raiders. At 5-5, I didn't think this team had any chance to get to 6 wins. So the fact that they're even 5-5 right now, I think is surprising. Pierce is doing a good job. I mean, McDaniels was just a dumpster fire. Anything without him involved, I think, is a bonus for the Raiders. No matter what happens the rest of the year for them, I think it's a bonus that he's got.
McDaniel's lucky to coach XFL after this.
Yeah. Jagger Rams. I didn't write the question down for this, so I'll just kind of impromptu this one. Can the fabulous duo of both receivers, can they keep up the rest of the year at that pace when Stafford comes back? Or is it just going to, what's going to happen to this offense if Stafford is out the rest of the season?
I mean, we're kind of already seeing it. Like if Stafford comes back healthy, I think that we're going to go back to business as usual, where it might not be Puka every game. It might be a cup game and a Puka game, or maybe they both have little 12, 15 pointers, but I think they both can coexist. We've already seen that with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp before. But this is what I've been telling people about Puka. It's not him in a vacuum. The Rams suck. Matt Stafford's old, and I don't know what the future of that team is going to look like after this year. So,
yeah, it's tough. JT Ravens, is Rashad Bateman a buy right now or an avoid?
I'm avoiding Rashad Bateman. I have not liked him in years. I liked him at Minnesota. I didn't love him as soon as he got drafted by the Ravens. I thought it would be a problem. I took him in a couple redraft leagues, like literally last pick. He was just still sitting out there. And I'm like, I got to give this guy a shot, right? Nothing, man. I've dropped him. He's been long gone on my rosters. I don't think there's any saving Bateman at this point.
I got him for $100 and $1,000 budget, just for fab. So it was worth the stash for a year anyway. That kind of deal. So,
I think if you do it that way, it's worth it in a deep league where you're just looking to fill spots on the roster at the end of the league. But if you're in a league where you got to have bench players that can play, I don't want them on my bench.
Jagger Saints, this is Jameis Winston's job to keep right now, right?
It has to be. It has to be.
It has to be.
So much better. He's
Great
so
answer.
much better.
He is.
Man, Carr's been brutal this year. I thought he might get a little shot in the arm on a new team, but man, he has not been good.
JT, Seahawks. Was there ever a doubt that Geno Smith was the man, or did he really need a big game to keep everybody's confidence back up?
Man, it's the feel-good story of last year is long gone. Geno is not performing the way that everybody's been wanting to see him perform. He's got to really turn it up down the stretch here. They've got a decent record, even though they haven't played very well in a lot of games, and they're still in the hunt to make the playoffs. So they definitely need him to turn it up to kind of keep things going, because it was getting a little shaky on whether they made the right move re-signing him a couple games into the season.
Jagger, Steelers, Jalen Warren is just a way better running back than Najee Harris. Why are they splitting the carries like this? And why is Najee getting more carries than Warren?
I disagree with this. I think that Najee Harris has actually played pretty well this season, especially the last 2 games. If you look at missed tackle rate or pretty much any peripherals, Jalen Warren and Najee Harris are back to back. I think that they have a good thunder and lightning thing happening, and they are one of the only 2 things working about the Steelers offense. So that's why I think they're splitting carries.
Jalen Warren,
Totally
Warren
agree.
passes the eye test, I think. I think Jalen Warren looks like a better running back on the field, but the metrics and things like that might tell a different story. But Jalen Warren, just when you see him play out there, he just looks like a better running back to me anyway.
Well, he's smaller, so he looks faster. Yeah. He looks quicker. I mean, Najee doesn't look like he's running as fast, but Najee's actually running at a decent speed. He just is a bigger guy, so he doesn't look like he's running as quick. And the big thing is, I think if you watch a lot of Steelers games, you got to realize Warren's out there a lot of times on like super third and long plays, which they have a ton of, because that's what the Steelers have been doing this year is penalties and just run up the middle stuff. So he's gotten while he's been good, he's gotten quite a few yards because, hey, it's 3rd and 12 and we're going to hand it off to him for 9, or we're going to dump it off to him for 8 yards. I like Warren a lot. I think they're both really good, but I still think the Warren's better than Najee talk has gone a little too far for me, even though I think they're both really good players.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't doubt they're both good players. To me, I get what you guys are saying, but it is what it is. I'll keep my Jalen Warren on my team. JT Texans. What happened to the Texas terrible run blocking?
Right, it's like week to week in the NFL. You never know. It's like one week all these teams look terrible, they can't do anything right, and then the next week they look fantastic. It's the toughest thing to figure out. Devin Singletary, I love to see it. He's a guy I've always rooted for and liked. I've got him on a bunch of teams. I actually played him in a bunch of spots last week. I had 1 or 2 I didn't play him, and I really regretted it because he had a monster week. But the fact that they gave him 30 carries actually blows my mind. That came out of nowhere. I mean, if you would have had to guess like on the wheel, like how many carries will he get this week? At third, no one was anywhere near 30.
Right. I was kind of wondering if it's because the passing game opened up, they can't focus on the run game anymore, or is it really the offensive line opened up, or it's 30 carries? Anybody's going to get 80 yards?
I think the offensive line looked a little bit better, and I think teams are on their heels. CJ Stroud's throwing the ball really well. They're playing well, and they've been in a lot of wide open games. Whenever you're getting a lot of wide open games with a ton of offensive plays, I think it makes a difference. I mean, if you're in a slow it down system, like a Steelers game, it's tough to get 20, 25 carries total for the team in a game because they're running so few plays. And the Texans have been in games where everybody's scoring high plays, ton of plays. That 30 carries is a big difference when you're getting, 85, 90 plays in a game compared to when your team weight is running 45 or 50 plays.
Right. Jagger Titans. Should I have sold Will Levis after his big game, or do you still have hope for him?
You should have sold him.
I was looking at a bunch of stuff that had Will Levis and what people were selling it for. I'm like, oh, this is what I get for hating Will Levis so much. I didn't have enough. I didn't have any Will Levis to trade, and I would have loved to trade him away for all the trades that people were giving up. That's the one disappointing for not drafting Will Levis was I didn't get a chance to trade him.
I got a couple Will Levis shares, but I wasn't getting shit for him anyway. Like a late second, maybe an early third, something like that. And I'm like, I might as well just keep a quarterback as my third quarterback in a super flex behind like Mahomes and Trevor Lawrence and shit like that. I don't. He's not going to play anyway. I'd rather have him just a year or 2 to develop, maybe. But maybe I should have. Who knows? JT Vikings. Is Josh Dobbs the passer literally the smartest player in the NFL? He's pretty much had 4. He had to learn 4 playbacks this year.
He probably is legitimately IQ-wise, might be the smartest player in the NFL. But man, what he has done, a guy that, I liked on, career backup for the Steelers, what he has done this last year and a half, being traded around and actually coming and keeping teams like relevant blows my mind. I just can't believe it's happening. Every week I see him and I'm like, I can't believe he played that well again. It's really surprising. Good for him. He's a super nice dude, really genuine guy. Really happy for him. But this feels like a Fitzmagic moment where he's just gonna like breeze through here, have just some unreal games, and then it's all gonna come to a crashing halt at some point.
Yeah,
But hopefully for him, it goes the rest of the year because, I mean, he's looked great so far.
Yeah, he can't move anymore. I mean, the guy's at this point in time, he's got to have like stock and Holiday in from all the places he's jumping around to. Jagger, Washington football team. Is Sam Howell their forever quarterback, or is Eric Bieniemy going to want to bring his own quarterback in next year when Ron Rivera's gone?
I don't. This is one I really don't know, man. Like Sam Howell is a guy that I didn't like out of college. All the peripherals say that he's all right, and the problem is the offensive line more than anything. But I don't even know if Eric Bieniemy is the guy, if that makes sense. Like I don't I don't. I have so many questions. Their playmakers aren't getting the ball properly. I think a lot of that has to do with scheme. I don't know, man, about the watch football team. I know that's incredibly unhelpful answer, but I feel like I couldn't be honest if I didn't say that.
Yeah, I get it. I think Bieniemy being kind of like ease into that position and having to kind of talk Ron Rivera into like getting away from 1940 football. It's probably kind of been a process, but I can't take any more Ron Rivera on the Commanders now. So it is what it is. All right, real fast. Let's just jump to some trades. Brainiacs, Kenny Pickett for Jahan Dotson. And these are all 12-team, 30-man deep rosters. No kickers, no defense, PPR, 10-man premium, 7-5, Superflex, 5 touchdown, 2 interception, that kind of stuff. So Kenny Pickett for Jahan Dotson. What would you take in this? And you're starting 10 here: a quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, tight end, 2 flexes, and a super flex.
Dotson. I think he's the one who's going to matter in 3 years.
JT?
I'm taking Kenny Pickett, but that's only because I have a crazy idea that Kenny Pickett's going to pull it together at some point and going to get together for them. And it's super flex, but probably right now, if I was in a team that's competing and I'm not playing Kenny at all, he's like my 3rd or 4th QB, I could definitely see taking Dotson higher upside here in the short term for sure.
Dalton Schultz, Gabe Davis, and Will Levis for Hunter Henry, Mike Gesicki, Terry McLaurin, a 24 first and a 24 second. They're both, one's a lottery pick and the other one's a early second.
I'm taking the McLaurin in picks.
That's like a landslide. Like
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. Noah Brown, Brandon Ayuk, and Christian Watson for Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin, and Jacoby Myers.
This is tough. I think I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin's side and Christian Kirk's side. I think Brandon Ayuk is the best piece, but Noah Brown, I don't know what that is going forward. And I don't think Christian Watson is very good. Whereas I think Christian Kirk, Terry McLaurin, and Jacoby Myers are all 3 good players.
JT?
I totally agree. Same side. I'm taking those. I think those. I like all 3 of those guys. I'm starting all 3 of those guys in most of my leagues. I'm leaning there. I just more production for me, more safe floor for those guys.
It's like 45-55 to me. It's kind of almost an even trade, but yeah, I get it. I could see either side. Alvin Kamara and Khalil Shakir for 24 first and 5th, and the first is probably going to be somewhere in the second half of the first.
I lean the picks.
First, I mean, 5th's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, I'm leaning the picks unless you're like a team that was you're desperate for an RB and you're competing and you're trying to get Kamara because you're in trouble. I can see if you're making that move because you're like going for a championship. But for me, in a vacuum, I'm taking the picks. I'd rather have a first. I don't know how much more you're going to get out of Kamara, and his value is going to drop pretty quickly.
It's already
eventually.
Dropping,
yeah. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'd take the first. The fact that you can get a first, I'm all over that first.
JT, this is me in your league. Jonathan Mingo for Antonio Gibson and Daniel Bellinger. Jagger, you go first.
Ugh, I hate all of this. I think I think I'm going to roll with Mingo because I would try to immediately flip Mingo because I don't think Daniel Bellinger is relevant. I don't know what Antonio Gibson is, but I know that Washington doesn't love him. So Jonathan Mingo is the only one I think I see a path to increase in value.
I'm going to get Antonio Gibson back. Let's get that right away. He's my favorite player in the NFL. But now,
I'm traded away, but I'll get him back. No, I agree. I think Mingo's the play. He's the youngest, highest upside guy. I like Bellinger, my San Diego State Aztec guy, but he's just kind of a backup piece that you're thrown in a two tight end or start 2 or something premium. But other than that, I'm going Mingo for sure.
Puka Nacua and a 24 mid-third for Calvin Ridley, Gus Edwards, and Gardner Minshew.
Taking the Puka side.
Yeah, that's the same thing for me. I think I'm going Puka there. Obviously, Gus Edwards, you never know what you're going to get with him. He's going to have the big weeks and he's going to hurt. And Minshew, you're basically running Minshew for the second half of this season, and that you're done. After that, you're probably not going to see any more Minshew. So, yeah, I'm taking the Puka side in the third.
Yeah, Zach is kind of a win now and needed a quarterback, so he got rid of Puka in his third for Minshew, which just because his quarterbacks were like Daniel Jones and other shit like that. So this is not a necessity. I would have definitely took the Puka side for sure. All right, that's
like
all.
I said, I think he's just renting him and trying to get Calvin Ridley to kind of even things out.
All right, very good. You got 2 minutes, Jagger? It's like 5 more minutes. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, so we do a team evaluation every week. So we evaluate one of my Mighty McGlynn home league teams, decide if it's a simple remodel or full-scale rebuild. These are 12-team, 30-man rosters, no kicker, no defense, super flex, 5 and 2 for touchdown interception. It's full PPR and for wide receiver and running back and 1.75 for tight ends. What are the biggest needs of this team? When you look at this team, what direction do you want to go and why? This is John McNamara's team in the Bavaro League. Team is 6-4 and leading its division by a quarter game, 1.5 or divisions are 1 of 4, so there's 3 teams in each division. It's 1.5 games ahead because of a tie. No quarterback if Mac Jones is benched in a super flex. He's not going to have a quarterback at all. If this is a start selling or just keep trucking because if you sell anything you have to sell everything kind of thing because you have to have all your horses to win. Or his next year his picks are 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in 24. What are you trading for? What can you do? If you sell anything, do you have to sell everything? This is the team that we have on here. Let me bring it up. So, as you guys can see, it's can you see it on the screen?
It's not. There you go.
Okay.
I got the team pulled up that you sent it so.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, John, I got it pulled up too. I don't see it on the actual screen though.
Shit. All right, here it is. John McNamara. All right, so this team has got Mac Jones right now. It's the only starting quarterback in this team, and that might not even be a starter anymore in a super flex league. He's got Aaron Jones, Alexander Madison, who might be out next year with a concussion, Diggs, Thielen, Kyle Phillips, Geno Smith, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Chuba Hubbard at his super flex position. And then he's got Brissett, Simeon, Brett Ripien, Clayton Tune, Andy Dalton, Philip Taylor. Is that Patrick Taylor or Philip Taylor?
Patrick Taylor,
Yeah.
James
Robinson, Julian McLaughlin, MVS, that is Romeo Zachramias, Denzel Mims, Nick Westbrook, Akine. He's got Waddle on the bench, which is good. He's a little bit banged up right now, but he'll be all right. Juwan Jennings, Robbie Anderson, Keyshawn Butte. He's got Kelsey on the bench, which is also good. Everett, so Hooper, Tucker Kraft, Mike Williams is out for the year on IR. James Woods or Jelani Woods.
Jelani Woods. Yep.
And Aaron Rodgers, if he does come back, it'll probably be too late for fantasy football season. But the problem is his starters are good, but he has almost zero bench. So when he brings in next week, when he brings in Kelsey, a couple other players are on bye, but like right now he's starting Jonnu Smith instead of Kelsey. He's starting Chuba Hubbard, which is fine. I mean, he's not a league winner or nothing like that. He's a great second flex, I guess. But generally speaking, that should be a quarterback in that super flex position. So that might be Jalen Waddle in a couple weeks. But what do you do now? Because he's going to get a 0 for quarterback, obviously. Who do you trade away on this team to try to get a quarterback? And everybody knows that this team is really good, but he's minus a quarterback. So what does this guy do? He's in a terrible situation because his team was stacked when he had Rodgers and Aaron Jones or Mac Jones. When Mac Jones was kind of doing decent at the beginning of the season, but now Mac Jones is falling out of grace. He might not even start, and he has no second quarterback. What do you guys do? J2, you're kind of familiar with this, so why don't you give me a heads up? What do you think you would do?
Obviously, if he wants to go for it, I mean, he's got an older team. He's got win now pieces in CMC, Eckler, Kelsey, Aaron Jones, Thielen, Diggs. obviously he's got to make some kind of move to get a quarterback. Now, what kind of quarterback can he get, and what does he have to give up to get that QB is going to be the question. I'd obviously look for a team that is in last place or way down the list that has a lot of pieces they need and would trade off for some draft picks. Because again, I don't. For him to sell right now, I think is going to be tough and get max value for a lot of the stuff. He could. The Mac Jones is on bye week next week, this coming up week, so he's already going to get a 0 QB this week unless he makes a move. And then going forward as the only guy, that's a toughie. I mean, he's getting good production from the rest of his positions, especially if he stays away from more injuries because the bench is super shallow. But now after you get by the bye weeks next week, should be in a pretty decent spot because you can get Waddle back in there at starter for Phillips. You get Kelsey back in for Jonnu at tight end. Like I said, the running backs, everybody's good. Madison's not great, but you still got CMC, you got Eckler, you got Jones. So those are all good spots. So the biggest thing for him is there any way to get any kind of QB, even low end, like even a Minshew? Can you go out and get a Minshew for something cheap? Could you trade a third for him and get a Minshew for the rest of the year if you're going to go for it? That's kind of the moves I'd be making. For him to get a higher end QB than that, I think could be tough. Maybe you could get somebody that just has Zach Wilson that's completely out on Zach Wilson. You could throw out maybe a third and get him. But he's got to figure out how to get some kind of quarterback, at least someone to play. First off, production, yes, beyond that. But again, the problem for him is if he sells any of these main pieces away, that really hurts. If he sells an Eckler or a CMC or he sells a Diggs, that could really kill his value everywhere else. But you might have to do that if you get somebody that maybe you give up a Diggs for a higher, mid-range quarterback. If you could get a 1-for-1 or, figure out a trade swap on picks, then I think maybe that might be the route to go.
If you're getting rid of a Diggs who's scoring 20-some points a week to get a quarterback like Mac Jones who's averaging like 8 points a week, I mean, right there, that's going to hamper your. Of course, you're not getting a 0 at quarterback, but
that's what I'm saying. The only Diggs if you could get like a top 10 guy out of it for some reason, but I don't think it would happen. So that's what I'm saying. You might just have to play filler at QB and hope guys play decent enough to carry you through. That's why I'd maybe make like a Minshew. Look at a Minshew. Look at the cheapest guys first and see if you can even get those guys. And then if you can upgrade, great. But you're gonna have to do something at QB if you're gonna make a run for it because you can't stay where you're at.
This is kind of the consensus thought, but Jagger, what do you think?
My gut is I would tear down. I would tear a lot of this roster down because a lot of it's aging and you don't have that first round pick. But to keep you within the window, and I don't know the team, I would feel more than comfortable selling Austin Eckler. I would try to go buy Josh Dobbs or something, or I would try to move CMC and Eckler to go get a 2-for-1 deal. Go get someone like Brian Robinson, go get someone like Rashad White, and then go get another quarterback if that's possible. Like those mid-range guys that are scoring points that people might be low on, you could plug that in and then go get someone with that quarterback floor and then fix that problem. And I know that's only one quarterback, but this is a reminder that super flex is what it is. It is super flex. Yes, you can play 2 quarterbacks and QBs have more value, but you don't have to. Like having CMC or Eckler in your super flex is probably just as value as anyone that you're going to get. So, but in all reality, I'm the guy. I'm not a perpetual rebuilder. I like to go in with like an infinity gauntlet that's full of all my stones there. Like I would try to sell Stephon Diggs, go get Garrett Wilson for next year. I would try to move CNC, go get Breece Hall or someone that's depreciated value and then rebuild that way. That's just me though.
Yeah, in dynasty leagues, the name of the game is making the playoffs because I mean, if you get a bye, that's great. You get, but it's just getting in the playoffs and getting to the playoffs is skill, and then everything else is luck after that. As far as we all know how that works. If you get a bye, usually most of the best teams are knocked out in the first and possibly the second round because of just fluke scoring. But it's man, I just feel like if you were to get rid of Stephon Diggs or Christian McCaffrey or something to get even a decent quarterback, because everybody knows that McCaffrey's older. Everybody knows that Eckler's older. Eckler's, he's had some pretty decent games, but he's showing some signs of, getting beat up a little bit. I just don't.
Mm.
I don't know what quarterback to go after or what you can get because you just can't take zeros at a quarterback position. So those are great. Those are good ideas about going after both of the Mac Jones backup and also Aaron Rodgers backup. So if Rodgers does come back, you have a starting quarterback either way. But man, to trade away Diggs or something like that for a part-time backup quarterback is oof, that would kill me.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a rebuilding team that has Dobbs on their team or a rebuilding team that has Minshew, like those are two guys I'd go. If you're looking like, hey, I'm not going to give up any of my main pieces, I just need a QB. Like those guys are most likely only playing the rest of this year. So the team that has them, if they're rebuilding, they're like, hey, I want anything for those guys before their value goes to zero. So if the teams that typically have them are not going to make the playoffs, in my case, if I'm not making the playoffs and I have a guy like that, I'm going to sell him for a third because I know that his value once the starter comes back next year is going to drop to nothing for the most part. So unless the guy gets hurt again. So that's where I would maybe see if I could target those guys that nobody likes or aren't playing well, but are at least playing that can give you something. So at least if Mac Jones gets pulled, you can replace him. I'd pick up his Bailey Zappi right away for sure to make sure I have him. And then if I can make a Minshew or Josh Dobbs, I think Dobbs is a great move. The Colts have a pretty reasonable schedule down the stretch that Minshew should hopefully be able to put up decent games. Those are two guys I would shoot for and just see if I can get draft picks, give up like lower draft picks for them.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Those are some great ideas. That's kind of what we're looking for is some awesome ideas out of our guests and also our co-hosts because I don't have any. So that's why I bring smart people on to help me out with these shows. So thank you very much. And but Jagger, one more time, tell everybody where they can find you at, all that kind of stuff, all the good stuff you do in the fantasy football world.
Just find me over on Fantasy Blue Chip. I make a lot of my stuff over at Football Guys. Super easy to find. My stupid face is all over the place. So
that's a good one. JT.
Yeah, you can find me the Stew with JT Brew on Dynasty Pros Football channel, YouTube, Spotify, all that stuff. Just look up the Stew with JT Brew. I got my gambling stuff on there. I have a hockey show on there. I do all kinds of different stuff on that channel. Also, if you're in IDP, talked about earlier, I do my rankings on DLF. I also do a waiver wire article comes out every Wednesday for Fantrax. So check that out as well.
Thank you very much. This has been a Commissioner Evaluation Show. Much appreciated, everyone. And we will see you around. Thanks for watching the Commissioner Evaluation Show. It'll be on podcast form tomorrow morning for all of you guys to listen. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Have a great week. And good luck.